You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Robertson. I'm joined by Matt Kendrick and James Rushton. How are you both?
Felt better.
Yeah, a bit miserable, bit flat. Trying to plug in my computer before it loses its charge. So carry on, talk amongst yourself.
Okay, good stuff. I'm disappointed, annoyed, angry, upset, whatever word you want to chuck in there for overall disappointment.
What's the matter, hon? What's up? What's happened? The football.
I like my mum for a second there. She doesn't have a Midlands men accent, but yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Mum's really gruff.
Yeah. And bald. Moving on. Got a smile on my face now, at least. So let's just go with that. Yeah, awful tonight. I think the caption for this on Facebook is just dreadful. Is that the worst we've been this season? Do you think?
I don't know. I think, listen, far be it from me to be the voice of reason and the positive little fairy. But it was flat, but we still, and I know they've got 10 men, so it makes it even worse. And I know the bottom of the league and they're destined for the championship, so it makes it even worse. But I think it was just finishing. Well, it wasn't just finishing, but finishing was a massive part of it tonight because Watkins has been a crossbar away from scoring. John McGinn should have hit the target. Traore, after his dancing feet have gone through the defence, should have hit the target. Cons has just turned into Dennis Bergkamp or something towards the end with that touch and volley. It's the only real time they worked Ramsdale, wasn't it? But yeah, I think that's probably as many positives as I can clutch for. So if you want the inquest to really get going, let's crank up how crap it was.
Colin Jones.
Yeah. Bad, weren't it? I think the worst thing I can say is like how predictable it could have been. Well, it was. You know, if you say Wednesday night, Villa away at Sheffield United getting a goal in the first half, then they get a player sent off. What happens? Well, that happens. You could have asked any Villa fan how to come out of that. So I think it's just the fact that Villa weren't able to kind of get over your expectations and score that goal, or get a free kick and that beats the first man. Or threaten, or make chances without Grealish or finish chances without Grealish. I know he's not finishing his own chances he makes himself, but the lack of dynamite in that team without him it's startling. It is almost a day and night difference. I know we can compare the win against Leeds with that and say, look, we weren't with Grealish there, but that's where you miss him.
That was a different game, wasn't it?
It's a different game, yeah. And we had it was similar at the start of the season. Against Sheffield United, of course, that they got a player sent off, kind of shut down a bit. Difficult game for us to get that Konza goal at the end. But the shoe was on the other foot this time. It's just frustrating that we aren't making the changes early. And I know we're removed from that situation, but it just seems like everyone wanted the second striker to come on. Everyone wanted the changes in midfield to happen. You see on Twitter, I know we're all armchair fans, but you see the changes being like telegraphed, and it's like, when Sheffield United got their player sent off, when Jagielka walked, the change was instant. They made a change and reacted to the situation, and we were like second guessing it or something. I don't know. It was odd, frustrating, and I'm mad and disappointed.
Well, come on to the tactics and the personnel in a minute. There's loads of comments coming through, seemingly more so than usual, and there's not as many viewers as usual, so people are clearly irate with what they've just seen. But a few people saying fair play to Sheffield United. Yeah. Are we being a bit too harsh there, or do we have to give some respect to them and say they've done a job there? Because at the moment, maybe in reflection, I'll look back at it and go, yeah, fair play, they did this, they did that. Right now, I think Elmo's just watched the ball go past him, they've scored a goal and not really offered anything else. I wouldn't say fair play United.
I think they did a good job, especially with their goal. It's a plan executed, and that's the thing with Villa, is you can see all the planning, but less of the execution. And when with Sheffield United, there's their move, the cross box ball, and McGoldrick taking a gamble. It's like a plan that's executed. So you have to give fair play. They shut down for good reason because they lost a centre back. They shut down and executed a new plan. So fair play to them. Their goal was great. It was good. Yeah, one of our players switched off, but you can't take it away from Sheffield United. They took their chance. They gambled. They played like a team with something to play for, and they do have something to play for, which is so annoying.
See, I agree to a certain extent. I think the crossfield ball for McGoldrick to start a move was excellent. But then he runs from the halfway line right up until the 6-yard box with no one tracking him. If someone tracks him or realises he's there, that move that we've just seen is an outfield ball and a cross that's cleared away, and we're not saying anything about it. It's only the fact it's gone in the back of the net. We're going, yeah, good move. So there's a few people coming through saying, yeah, fair play to them. They've done well, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the heat of the moment. I don't really see it that way. I see it as Villa being poor. Well, why Villa lost tonight? Not that Sheffield United were good.
It was a shocking goal to give away for a defence that prides itself on being one of the best in the division, and it wasn't just Al Mohammedi who switched off. I think McGoldrick's sprayed the ball out wide, and I think he's gone past on the blind side of McGinn. I think he's gone on the blind side of Nakamba, and yeah, it's unforgivable, really, that somebody hasn't thought to, like you say, shepherd it out of play, because it would have just been that. It wasn't as if kind of Sheffield United, and neither would you expect them to, but it wasn't as if they were banging on the door and hammering at our goal, and eventually we succumbed. It was a lapse of concentration that should have been better. And I actually think it came at a really, really silly time, because I thought Villa started really slow. You know, Smith's spoken in the last couple of days about how he's been pleased with how they burst out the blocks, particularly when they took the lead at Leeds. But I thought Villa were really slow and sluggish, and Sheffield United. So it was a strange pep talk from Chris Wilder ahead of the game, kind of almost being resigned to the Championship. But the commentator said that it possibly took the pressure off a little bit.
Yeah. As soon as he said that, I was like, I know what's going to happen now.
Yeah, but I thought Villa would come back. I thought after 10 to 15 minutes, I thought Villa looked the brighter team and looked like they recovered from a sluggish start and looked like they were going to slowly, crank up the pressure and take the lead themselves. So that goal was just a gift for Sheffield United, because it gave them something to properly get stuck into and to hang on to.
I think as much as Elmo is the final piece of that puzzle for the goal as well, that it's him that kind of lets the ball go past him. He kind of stands there and thinks, well, this is going wide, I'm going to let it roll out for a goal kick. Yes, that's his fault, but it's also a team effort. So surely someone shouts him and says, or recognise, Emi Martinez must recognise that there's a runner just come through, or do you know what I mean? There should be more awareness in that penalty area that McGoldrick's just run 40 yards through, not just that Elmo switched off for a second.
Somebody's got to have a bet. Listen, I'm not trying to excuse the players who let him go. I'm not trying to excuse Al Mohammedi, McGinn or Nakamba, I think it was. But there's another 4 or 5 players around them who are going to have a better view of that, because, like I say, he stole in on their blind side, and you've got your centre halves who should be pulling people into place. You've got your goalkeeper who's got a clear view of the whole pitch, who should be pulling people into place. So we've said it before, haven't we? It's kind of collective responsibility. Villa win together, Villa lose together. But yeah, it was just limp and lame and predictable and laboured, and not the kind of Villa we've come to expect.
Yeah, it's funny because saying all that and being a bit defensive of Elmo and saying it's a team effort, it only takes one of them during that run from a goal to quickly glance over their shoulder and they see it and stop that, and it's not a goal. So it's just a schoolboy, that whole goal is the point there, and it's a silly goal to give away. But there's still the rest of the game to get back into it, and Villa did try and knock down the door. We had a few chances. We should have done better with a few of them. But ultimately, you lose 1-0, and it's just... I don't know whether it's the fact that Sheffield United that makes it a little bit more disappointing, that they've had 11 points all season. They're destined to go down regardless of tonight. And Chris Wilder's pretty much team talk. They know they're going down. The pressure was off them a little bit. They've got the goal, won the game. Happy days for them. I just feel this was one of those games you look at in the fixture list and go, should be a definite 3 points there. We move on to Wolves at the weekend. And I know football doesn't work like that, but it should.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? We should have won tonight. I know you can't always win, but it's just extra frustrating. Maybe in a few days we'll all calm down, but as of right now, post-match, the game finished 20 minutes ago, I'm very frustrated.
Yeah, I think that's the main emotion, isn't it?
Toddler there, Dan.
And also, so is Stephen Irvin, who says, I would fine Elmo a week's wages. That's an extreme tactic. Well, I don't imagine many footballers would enjoy playing football if they were being fined for mistakes. But yeah, there's not a lot of happiness in the comments tonight, to be honest. If anyone's got any positives, by the way, and I'll ask you to the same question in a second. If anyone's got any positives from tonight that they want to bring into the podcast conversation, here's your time to do so. Were there any positives? Yeah, go for it.
Positive I've got is that Chris Sutton's pun game was on point tonight, wasn't it?
I was going to ask who it was.
Is that again?
I was going to ask who was on co-coms. He was really winding me up. It was very annoying.
It sounded like he was channeling his inner Matt Kendrick or inner Jack Woodward, didn't he? The way he was kind of crucifying some of those puns, which, gave us a bit of light relief on Twitter, didn't it? When we were knocking about the old Barkley card puns.
Yeah, true. That to be fair, that one was quite good. Something about Villa played their Barkley card. I was like, that's peak Matt Kendrick, that is. Absolute peak. Someone just said that Barkley's only on loan. We could have made a bank loan reference about Barkley as well.
We've missed the trick there, haven't we?
Yeah, that's annoying. Sarwood on Blue says there are no positives, Dan, with a capital N-O. Is that fair, James? No positives whatsoever there?
I mean, Jacob Ramsey looks like a Premier League player, which is nice. So I think that's a positive. Started a few games now, looks apart. Not tearing the world away, but I guess if I was to really dig for a positive, it might be that an academy graduate is looking like a Premier League player, which is always nice. It's a shame the context, of course. But yeah, positives few and far between. I'm not going to kind of try and pull the wool over anyone's eyes by trying to dig for positives in that. I feel like can create chances, they just can't finish them, which I guess is really frustrating, especially in the past few games.
Do you think if we'd have had Grealish tonight, we'd have won? That's a stupid hypothetical question, but we made the chances.
Probably scored.
Better chance.
Probably scored. It was how it looked to me was like analogy time.
God.
you go bowling down Castlegate by the cinema at the back of the zoo.
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
If you're going 10-pin bowling, you're deliberately trying to hit that first middle pin and knock them, spread them that way on. Well, you might have a different tactic, but you want to hit the pins, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's like Villa's delivery was like that. Why don't you try and kind of play down the... I know in bowling you don't play down the channels. You don't play
this doesn't work, does it?
But it was like you got these big red and white stripy things, and Villa just kept directing the ball at it all the time, and there was no variation. It was just so predictable. And I think Jack Grealish being on the pitch would have changed the angles of some of the crosses. I think he would have got behind the Sheffield United defence a little bit more rather than them being queued up, regimented on the edge of the box, equipped to head everything away. So I think it was just Villa lack that little bit, stating the obvious, lack that bit of X factor without Grealish. They don't pull teams apart or pull them into uncomfortable positions often enough, which we know that. The one thing that I wanted to highlight again, I thought Ollie Watkins did okay again. I think he obviously had the opportunity where he's hit the bar. I think his decision making is good. I think he chases. I think he gets hold of the ball. But the problem was that he's chasing the ball in the channels. That when the ball's then being delivered back into the box, he's still on the edges of the pitch anyway. So I don't know what they were trying to hit in the box other than 10 Sheffield United heads.
I've just been reading comments while you were talking there. I don't know what you've actually said. People just like, we're at the point now.
It was so profound. People are going to say, yeah.
We're at this weird point. This happens every time Villa lose, where it's always that the players that didn't play were the answer. So Barkley should have been on earlier. A few weeks ago, everyone's going, get Barkley off, get him out of the team. Now all of a sudden he's the answer. But I think, like you said, James, it's that lack of creativity that he is the next gap, I suppose, to fill the Grealish void. You then got people slagging off Jacob Ramsey saying he's not done anything, he's nowhere near the level. People slagging off Ollie Watkins going, yeah, he can run all he wants, but he doesn't score the goals. It's like, we just need to reset a little bit. As much as I'm very disappointed and frustrated, to throw everything out the window because we've had a poor result tonight is silly, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't want to slag people off for saying things that I don't agree with, but to just say that, this player's not good enough, this player's not good enough, when they have been, just because they weren't good enough tonight, is pointless.
Yeah, it's like chucking the baby out of the bathwater, isn't it? Like, you've had a really good season, but we can all get blinded by the fact that it's one game at a time. We're only watching 90 minutes at a time, so a bad 90 minutes is always going to be a bad 90 minutes, regardless of the context. So yeah, I think people are right to be unhappy because you come home from work and you put the Villa on. You're hoping it's a Dean Smith's champagne Villa going to Europe. Everything's been going swimmingly this season, playing against Sheffield United, bottom of the table. In the minds of most Villa fans, it would be I know football doesn't work like this, but it's a victory. You signed, sealed, and delivered. You got the points. It's in the bag. And the reality of the situation, judged against the expectations, it's hard to digest, even though it might not be that realistic for Villa to just on paper beat a team that are 20th. But regardless, I think people are right to be frustrated, and that shouldn't take away from how brilliant the season has been as a whole. But one step at a time, it can be hard to take. It's like, Leicester was kind of disappointing to watch and frustrating. Then you play Leeds, and then it's a quieter performance. But Villa done their job well, and everyone's really pleased with it. and you move on to the next step. One step at a time. It bounces up from really good to frustrating to really good to frustrating. Overall, brilliant, fantastic. But we can only take it one game at a time. And the last one we watched was, of course, frustrating, as everyone is piling on and saying.
We'll talk about the penalty for Ollie Watkins and Phil Jagielka because red cards. Loads of comments saying, "Why aren't you mentioning it? Why aren't you mentioning it?" We'll get there. I want to talk about the lineup first of all, because we talked last game about Dean Smith's tactics, and you've said, Matt, about when we lose, everyone's going, he's nowhere near it tactically. When we win, we go, yeah, good job, Dean Smith. Tonight, it does feel like it was one that was nowhere near right. But it's a little bit between a rock and a hard place for Smith, isn't it, if we lose? Because you're always going to analyse the tactics if you lose. If we'd have won tonight, no one would have said a thing. But you look at it against Leeds, that Nakamba and Ramsey was the right decision to play that game. They were going to be energetic in midfield and try and break down what Leeds try and do. Tonight, when you expected that Villa were going to have more of the ball against Sheffield United because they're so poor, Nakamba and Ramsey probably weren't the right choice. Sanson maybe should have started. Is this something that we only look at because we've lost, or is it just as easy just to say that Smith got it wrong tonight?
I don't think it's as simple as that, is it? Because if Villa would have stuck away the chances that we've said, or if they'd have trapped the runners, we'd have trapped the McGoldrick run, then that's what I mean.
It's almost a pointless discussion, isn't it? Because if we'd score one of our chances and stop their goal, that team that started tonight would have won again consecutively, and we'd all have gone, yeah, well done, play the same team. Because you don't change a winning team, do you? That's the problem, isn't it? But in hindsight, you look at it and go, well, maybe if we'd have done this, things would have been different.
I think those two players that you've highlighted, Ramsey and Nakamba, and I said it on after the last game, they deserve to stay in the team on form. What you do say is when they're in the team, are they going to be the creative influences when you fall a goal behind against, in an unexpected manner? Probably not. I've probably dug out Nakamba amongst another couple for switching off for the goal, but I don't know. I mean, it didn't go according to plan. We didn't expect to be trailing 1-0 against 10 men. Could Smith have done anything differently then? How should we have set up differently? Of the options that he's got on the bench, could he have brought anybody on sooner? Could he have done it in a different way? I'm not convinced he could, if I'm being honest. And I think as much as we've said Villa's fringe players have stepped up to the plate in all season, pretty much, there's no replacement for Jack Grealish. It's as simple as that. And I still think we should have somebody with a little bit more quality and magic, who's probably not Jack Grealish level, but is Jack Grealish light. I don't think we have that player, and we're crying out for for Barkley to be that player. But I don't want to defend Dean Smith for the sake of defending Dean Smith, but I wasn't too disappointed that Villa were unchanged when the team sheets came out an hour before kickoff. And I don't really know. I mean, listen, I'm no pub league manager, let alone Premier League manager. But I don't know what he could have done with what was at his disposal to change things up. In terms of personnel, I think the tactics were a bit too predictable. But it was, that's what Sheffield United have got, a kind of defence that have kind of earned a living from defending that way. A lot of them have kind of come up through the leagues the hard way and deal with that. When the ball's been played in front of them like that, they can gobble all that up. So it was Villa not turning that team enough. But again, if they're sat on the edge of the box for the last 25 minutes, how are you supposed to find any space in behind them?
I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate there with my question, really, because someone pointed out there that after the Leeds game, we're all going, Nakamba and Ramsey have to start, and I agree that they did have to start, but it's only with hindsight you look back and go, were they the right players for this game? Dean Smith talked about horses for courses and different players for different games. You might now reflect on this and think that maybe they weren't the right choice for this style of game. However, like you said, I don't really know what else we could have done. I think subs maybe could have come earlier. We seem to be playing it into the box more so than we've ever done before this season. I don't know whether what the stats actually say, whether I'm just, my eye test is wrong there. But it feels like we were just pumping balls into the box with no end product. Where was the co-commentator? Chris Sutton, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of mentioned about, get Keenan Davis on a couple of times, and I'm thinking, is this really going to make much of a difference? Somebody said there, you need a goal, you bring on Keenan Davis. Like, what's the point in that? But if you're putting balls into the box, it's an extra body in there. He's got strength, he's got physicality. That's what his job's for. But even that didn't really make a difference. Sanson coming on didn't make a difference. But then they've got 10 minutes or so to change it, and it's not going to work, is it? Surely you make those changes at 50 minutes, 55 minutes.
Yeah, I think, look, Davis isn't going to change the world, is he? We kind of know that, and we haven't seen. He plays in drips and drabs ever since that kind of starting run he had under Steve Bruce. But we kind of know what he is. We know he's gonna hold the ball up and be a hassle at the very least. But he comes on with like 10 minutes to go, and he has one good-ish moment in the game where he kind of gets that drag back through. I think it was to Barkley. When I thought it was a really nice move, but the time isn't there. Like Villa, it's a bit hectic. And again, when I said earlier, when Sheffield United made the change when Jackie Alka got sent off, it's almost instantaneous. It was a plan in place, and I'm not saying Villa don't have that plan. It's just it was executed much slower. And I think, with the way Sheffield United were, pretty much 5 people falling back into that defensive line, you only had one person running at them until Barkley came on, and then you had 2, and then Al Ghazi and Traore pushed up, and you had your numbers. But Davis was there, and this is why we probably needed a second striker, and we couldn't probably get one in January. But why we needed one is we needed that quality and that threat, and we didn't even have that with Davis, which was a worry. It's like we've only got the plan A when it comes to our striker, and it's Ollie Watkins. So without Jack Grealish, the attacking effort really does live and die on Ollie Watkins' shoulders, and it's at least the pressure's there when kind of the pressure's off, almost, if you get what I mean.
Mm.
I mean, I think sorry, Dan. The change that he perhaps could have made, just looking through the bench, perhaps Trezeguet could have come on, because Trezeguet always gives you the impression of urgency anyway, that he's desperate to make things happen. But I think, listen, I know we're all feeling raw and frustrated, and we've just lost to bottom of the league with 10 men. But
10 men. In
terms of context and perspective, we're promoted at the same time as Sheffield United, and they battered us in this fixture. Battered us 2-0. They battered us in this fixture last season, and I know they were the surprise package of the Premier League, and we clung on by our fingertips at the end of the season. But if we'd have won that game tonight, we'd have had 3 times as many points as them. So, we've got to treat it in the context of the season so far. We're miles ahead from Sheffield United, and I know we've got kind of richer owners, and we're a bigger club, and we back ourselves to gamble and invest a bit more heavily than this kind of this community family club that Sheffield United are. So we should be ahead of them. We should be miles ahead of them, and that's not delusions of grandeur as a Villa fan. That's just the 2 clubs' places in the food chain. But the strides that we've made in comparison, not just to them who've gone backwards, but to a lot of clubs that we've overtaken in the space of 18 months in the Premier League. If Ezri Konsa's pulled out a cracking volley and the goalie's got down and saved it, and that's denied us a point, or if John McGinn's kind of snatched a chance from a narrow angle and that's denied us a point, or Bernard Traore's turned into John Barnes at the Maracana but then forgot to finish in the closing stages, and that's and that's denied us a point, then let's win the next one and let's get us back up off the floor and back feeling high again. Same message as ever, isn't it?
Does all that not make tonight more frustrating though?
I think it does, but when you look back to last season, kind of the 1-0 wins that Villa are grinding at this season, they wouldn't have had a chance last season. We're a growing team, and the progress is there. But ideally, next season, when you do invest in another striker and you do have more options to bring off your bench, and you can change the threat around, that's the type of game next season where Villa wouldn't have won this season. Next season they can get a point or even win. Hopefully the growth shows there, but it's just another frustrating kind of 90 minutes to endure in the current moment, which in the big picture is the only real moment that matters, isn't it? We're all here to watch and digest the last match.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether it's a heat at the moment thing, but I'm not sure I buy the argument either of you have just put towards me there that, last season we wouldn't have won, or last season this, last season that. To me, that's a little bit similar to when you go, well, we haven't beat Newcastle for 50 odd years, so we won't beat them again this week. So, well, that was 50 years ago. It's
more
irrelevant.
recent, isn't it? It's
no,
like
but it's a different team. Both sides are very different. To say that last year we would have done this, last year we would have done that. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's what we're doing right now is what counts.
Oh yeah, I think in the 90 minutes it was disappointing as we've all said at the start. But I think calming down and having 25 minutes after the match, I can settle a bit more. I think after the direct whistle, you're fuming. It's 10 men again. Villa haven't got 3 points, so it is annoying.
Someone just said if James and Matt say last season one more time, they're going to strangle the pair of you. So that's good.
Thanks, Mr. Tickle. What I would say, Dan, is my 13-year-old son threw his PlayStation controller at me in frustration towards the end of the game. So he shares your frustration, but he is a prepubescent schoolboy who's prone to being over emotional, mate. So I'll leave that there. Did we want to talk about the penalty and the sending off?
Yeah. What do you want to do first?
Send it off.
Penalty?
It's funnier.
Yeah, I'll do penalty first. Get it out of the way. So the Ollie Watkins one, it's a coming together. Peter Wharton says the two players sort of sandwich them together and he goes down. I think it's outside the area anyway, and that's probably why VAR don't check it, is the information I've been sent on Twitter. Again, not buying that whatsoever. If it's a decision that's wrong, that's what VAR is for. Whether it's in the box or not is irrelevant. But Ollie Watkins goes down. I think Joe Cole says at half-time or anywhere else on the pitch, that's a foul. He's suggesting it was in the box. But again, I think it was outside going into the box. So it would have been a free kick. It wasn't given. First of all, should have been given. If it is outside the box, it's a free kick. VAR apparently can't check it because it's not in the box, so it's not worth them checking it or something.
They don't know it's in the box, do they? Unless they check it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's for stupid little things. I think there was a corner that Villa should have had that the ref thought Mings headed it and the replay showed he didn't. VAR should be stuff for things like that. They show the replays instantly. The VAR should be going, oh, actually, that was a corner. Retake it, go again. That's what VAR should be used for, not the silly intricacies that it is used for. That's a different talking point whatsoever. Was it a penalty? Yes or no, first of all, or was it a free kick? Whatever.
It was a foul.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah.
It's one or the other. I'd have leaned towards a penalty, but then again, I'm sitting in a room that's claret and blue, so I
think it was outside and the momentum's carried them into the box, but it was on the cusp of the box anyway, so they should have been watching that and checking it, going, was it inside or outside? But if it was outside, the rules suggest that they can't give a free kick, I don't think, because they can't interfere with it being a free kick, which is it's just nonsense, isn't it, VAR?
I love the fact that because it started outside the box, he's used as mitigation. No, I was fouling him for a lot longer than that. I've been fouling consistently for the last 30 seconds, not just for the last 5. Yeah, okay, fair enough, you're forgiven.
It's just odd, isn't it? A lot of the comments saying, yeah, penalty, all agreeing it was a foul at least anyway. Whether it was inside the box or not, it's a different matter. But it's not given. And at the time, I think, oh, well, it is what it is. But now you look back at it and go, if that was a penalty given, then we potentially scrape a point back tonight. That's even more annoying now.
Changes the game completely. So, yeah, I think at the very least it was a foul. It would have been a foul anywhere else in the pitch, I just don't understand the entire concept of VAR. At this point, it just seems like
Hawkeye. We're not allowed to say anything. Hawkeye.
It's a Hawkeye derby, to be fair. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the red card as well? Then.
Yeah, go on then. It was funny.
We're approaching half an hour, so we're almost at the end now. So whatever, isn't it? So, watching it. So all right, I've been doing social for Facebook tonight. I've been doing my own tweets as well. Once it was, because I'm watching on BT Sports, I'm like a minute behind everybody else on like the app thing on my computer, so I'm a little bit behind. So I watched it and thought, soon before the VAR thing even happened, I thought that's a red because it was the last man. Doesn't matter. Somebody tweeted me saying, "Oh, he was 40 yards from goal." It's irrelevant. He'd have got a clean run through at goal if he wasn't fouled. So it doesn't matter where it is it? If you run from the whole half, you're still through on goal if there's no one around you. So first of all,
goal scoring opportunity, isn't it? So
I'm thinking, the foul itself, the tackle's a bit nothing. It's not a dangerous challenge or anything. And that's why it's a straight red. It's a goal scoring opportunity. Whether he's miles away from the goal is irrelevant because he had the run at it. Somebody said he didn't have the ball under control. And
but it's how close the covering defender is, isn't it? That's what's
and he was far away, wasn't he? So I look at that straight away and go red card, and then I'll check my phone and people are going, oh, VAR this, VAR that, and then I watch through and he changes his mind. And I think that's the right decision. because I thought it was a red anyway, and he's given the yellow. He's spoken to Jagielka. I've seen pictures of him not talking in his ear, and I'm thinking, what is the referee's reasonings for the yellow? And then seconds later, he's going back to him and going, "Oh, actually, mate, sorry, it's a red because I've been told this." So that, first of all, that's weird. Why isn't the ref not giving it? But yeah, I thought that was a red, and I've got nothing against that. But I'll tweet that out saying, "No, I thought it was a red anyway." And people are going, "Never a foul, never a foul, never a red." If that was against Villa, or if that was for Villa, you'd be going, "Ridiculous decision." It's like, well, yeah, obviously, if things go against Villa, I'm going to be anti it anyway. I'm never going, "Oh yeah, great."
We're not impartial on air. You're in the wrong place for.
I'm not going to go, "Oh yeah, great red card. We fully deserve that." I'm against every decision that Villa get, whether it's right or wrong. That's just football, isn't it? But I thought red card, move on. Villa should go on and win now because they're going against 10 men against bottom of the league. That's the frustration.
I mean, if you talk about the penalty being given and we scoring that, getting a point and winning, if Jagielka stays on, we probably actually go and get a point, so they probably don't shut down as much. It's one of them. It's like on the line. It's like so ambiguous. And I mean, in my opinion, I don't know if I'm no ref or anything. I don't even know the rule, but a lot of the covering defender was. I don't know if he was the last man technically because there was a covering defender, and it's ambiguous. Would the covering defender have got there? Don't know. But I think the problem with VAR, not necessarily the foul itself, or whether it was a foul at all. It's like when the referee goes to it, it's like they're gonna change their mind. Like it's like a tool used just to change their mind. It's like a second guessing tool, which is the annoying thing. They can't make the judgment there and then, which is to everyone's frustration, really. And again, it goes to the narrative of Aston Villa against Sheffield United and the decisions made. He had the red card earlier this season, which I actually thought was a red card. And this one as well. So every game there's an incident.
I thought it was harsh. If I'm being honest, I think that the covering defender did have enough chance to get across and make it difficult for him to go on to score the goal. I do like Phil Jagielka, but I had a row with his brother once in a pub in Shrewsbury because I gave him I think I gave him a 5 out of 10 for a match he used to play for Shrewsbury Town in their relegation season. And he had a go at me at the Player of the Season award. So I haven't got that much sympathy, to be honest. Not that I'm bitter or biased or anything, but I think like James says, as strange as it was, it probably played into their hands because it meant that they got a very, very not I wouldn't say a simple task, but a very clear task, a clear objective of just being as solid as possible. There was no expectation on them to carry an attacking threat anymore. So it probably just, like I said, it's just one of those nights, isn't it, where it just kind of cranks up the frustration on so many levels. The other thing that I was going to say was, and I'm not trying to lay on the mitigation from Villa's point of view too much because it's crap. You lose to 10 men at the whipping boys of the Premier League, and it's crap. There's no excusing that. But who would, if you had to name your 5 best, most consistent Villa players this season, who would they be?
Martinez, Konza, Watkins,
Cash.
Grealish.
And Cash.
Oh yeah, to be fair, that's
I was going to write them down, but that was easy.
So
Martinez, Konsa, Cash, Watkins, and Grealish.
Yeah, and two of those are missing. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't still have a strong enough squad to go there and win that game, but would Matty Cash have been more alert and have stopped that goal going in? Potentially. We can't say for definite, but potentially. Would Jack Grealish have varied the play up that those kind of, one bank of 4, 2 banks of 4, one bank of 10. That one bank of 10.
Get your fingers out.
Sheffield United. Ooh, that one bank of 10 of Sheffield United would have been pulled all over the place if Jack Grealish was in there. So,
isn't that Ross Barkley's job though to come on and make that difference? We talk about. I know Grealish is a massive miss, and we'll talk about. You can say this with any team. We're about to play Wolves. You take Jimenez out of them, and they fall apart. Any team that's got one great player, you take them out, they will be worse for it. Unless you're a Man City, Liverpool, or Barcelona, or whoever. You take Fernandes out of Man United, whoever it is. Yes, they're going to be poorer for it. I understand that, but surely as a unit, if you got someone like Ross Barkley, before the injury, we're all going about, pay whatever. He's great. What an addition to this side. He's got a point to prove. Surely he should be coming in on the 70th minute or whatever it is and start pulling those strings that Grealish would have. This is his time to shine. And it's not just him either. Everyone else in that side should be doing better than they were. They should be looking at Jack not as a missed opportunity to think, we've got no chance without him. It should be like, I'm going to step up and fill his gap.
Yeah, but I think the real reason to blame for the loss has actually just come up in our comments from Matthew Hastelow, who says, or probably Hastelow, who says, every time I buy a Villa kit, we lose. So can you please stop buying the Villa kits, mate? If that's the reason, then it needs to be stopped because it's like a jinx. So
I'm always like that. If I have a bet on Villa, they always lose, but I've just stopped doing it.
Stop doing it then.
I'm going to go and have my tea in a minute. And can I just ask a question? Because I like to go off topic.
Are you not going to answer my Barkley point? Is that
no, we're just going to blow you out the window.
Yeah,
you can't make it Ross Barkley the season finale of the Ross Barkley podcast.
You can't stick everything on a Barkley card, mate. I'm having pork chops for my tea, and I want to ask this question: do young people eat pork chops?
No, it's one of my dad's favourite, and he'll probably be watching this at some point. I don't live at home anymore, so he'll probably, if he's watching this, I want him to text me because we used to have pork chops at home, and I hated it. I won't be having that at my new place.
If we've got any viewers under the age of 30, can you leave a comment and say whether you like pork chops? I think pork chops are an old man's game.
Yeah, to be fair, this is like a good barometer of like how far people get into the podcast. Like when they watch it back on YouTube, if someone tweets us like in a few days' time saying, "I just watched the podcast," yes, pork chops are a yes. That means they got 35 minutes through this nonsense.
Bit of gammon, maybe mint sauce. Everyone's giving
yeah. Do you like pork chops, James?
Yeah, they're all right.
Mint sauce is lamb, not pork. And
what's your favourite way of eating pork? How should it be prepared? Pulled pork.
What are you doing, man? I
like pulled pork on like a soft bun, if like barbecue. Yeah. That's the only way pork, or like a big roast. Yeah, stuffing. Owen Delaney says he's 20 and he loves pork chops.
Oh, what a man!
And Kick the Bucket says I'm 23 and he loves pork chops. So James also says I'm 35 and haven't touched them in years. So maybe once you get past 30, you stop eating them. No, you start eating. Oh, I don't know. I've confused myself. This is the perfect opportunity to get out of here, though, because we've fallen into a waffle stage once again. 50 people have left in the last minute. So
well done, Matt. Thank you.
It's always good. So yeah, all the comments are pork related now. Someone's asking about sausages. Thoughts on sausages, Matt?
I like sausage sandwich. If I'm having a sausage sandwich, I have brown sauce. But if it's on a hot dog, it's got to be ketchup or mustard.
Well, it's different though, isn't it? Because a hot dog isn't really a sausage.
One of the favourite things I've just said in this channel has occurred on the comments. Everyone's talking about pork, and there was one in between. It's like, where is it? Don't mention Europe again because the season's unravelling. And it's just loads of comments about bratwurst and lamb chops.
Oh, someone just said, I love the endings of these podcasts that they're about anything other than Villa, which, yeah, it's probably a pretty good thing. Martin says, hang on, I've been waiting for the pork chat. And a colleague of ours who's logged into the Villa account has put, tune in for Villa reaction and hear about pork chops. And I spelled here wrong, whoever that is.
Steve Wollaston, whoever's put that on.
Name and shame, whoever that is, colleague. We want to know who can't spell here. That's embarrassing. Get rid of that. Yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you very much to you two for joining me this evening. Thanks everyone who joined in with the chat tonight, food related or otherwise. We had 500 people watching at one point, and still 427 to be fair. So there's still a lot of people interested in our opinions on food. Maybe we need to do like a food related thing, like our favourite food at Villa Park or something. Maybe this is our audience that we've got to tap into now. So yeah. All done. Thank you very much. We'll be back after Saturday evening to discuss the Wolves game, which isn't a must win because the season is whatever now, but I want to win it because we just need to bounce back. We'll possibly have a preview before the Wolves game, but we'll see if that happens or not. It depends how the schedule goes. But thank you both for joining me. Thanks everyone for tuning in and watching along live with us. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes after the fact, get involved with comment sections, get involved on Twitter @ClaretBluePod, leave iTunes reviews, etc., etc., etc. If you've listened to the podcast before, you know how this ends. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again in a few days.
Up the pork chop,
Villa.
I knew you were going to say